This is San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, California, where tonight it's the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Physiak. This is Dave Campbell, and welcome to the unpredictable National League West. The experts said in spring training it would be the Dodgers, the Reds, the Giants in the West this year, but here we are 10 games in. Padres leading 7-3, and the L.A. story seems to be, Dave, where's the power?
Absolutely. 10 games does not make a season, and the Dodgers very happy of that. Juan Samuel has the only 2 home runs the Dodgers have hit. They're last in the National League in homers. The St. Louis Cardinals have 4. But it figures that before it's all over, I think Darryl Strawberry will have his 30, Eddie Murray and Cal Daniels will be in the 20s, and the Dodgers will find that power.
Oh, when my partner Dave played for the Padres, the Dodgers used to just beat him up. But as soon as Dave left, L.A. started losing to San Diego. And this year, the Padres are 4-0.
They really are. And the Padres have been very hot with the bat. They have 9 guys in their roster hitting 300 or better, leading the National League in hitting, leading the National League in hits per game and runs per game. They're on a pace to score 800 runs. But again, it's only 10 games into the season.
And we expect a good game tonight. It's a sweet swing of Tony Gwynn against Darryl Strawberry, looking for his first Dodger home run. Tonight's starting pitchers, they met 1 week ago, and Ed Whitson won that affair 5-3 over Mike Morgan. Great crowd for San Diego and Los Angeles. And here's a look at the starting lineups for the Los Angeles Dodgers. It will be Brett Butler to lead things off. He'll be in center field. He'll be followed by Juan Samuel, the second baseman. Then it's Darryl Strawberry in right field, hitting third. Eddie Murray, back from the injured list, comes in the 4th spot. Then it's Cal Daniels, Lenny Harris at third base, Mike Scioscia, the catcher, Alfredo Griffin bats 8th, and Mike Morgan, the pitcher, bats 9th. And Ed Whitson, his first pitch to Brett Butler, is there for strike 1. And there's a look at Ed Whitson, 35 years old, makes his 3rd start of the year. He's 1-0, beat L.A. 5-3, going 6 innings, allowing 3 hits and 2 runs. And the one thing Whitson does is take strikes. There is Brett Butler. On the season, a .270 average. He was a .309 hitter last year. The Dodgers, they wanted a leadoff man. They have not had a great leadoff man since Steve Sachs left for the New York Yankees some years ago.
One thing Butler will do is make a pitcher work. He led all of Major League Baseball in pitches seen last year. He saw over 2,900 pitches. You have to work to get Brett Butler out.
And we understand George Foreman, his fight with Evander Holyfield, will be starting in about 15 minutes. We'll be giving you updates throughout tonight's ball game. Whitson has a count, 3 balls and 1 strike to Brett Butler. Squares for a moment to bunt and then pulls it back and takes a strike. It's 3-2. Now yesterday, first at bat, Brett laid down a beautiful bunt on the third base side. Gary Templeton, who is a little deeper than he is right now, was unable to field it. Now he backs up just a bit because there's 2 strikes.
Whitson only walked 1.8 batters per 9 innings last year, one of the best in baseball.
Butler fouls it off, and Brett has been in a little bit of a slump, but Whitson, with that great control, I mean, he makes you work. You better be ready to swing that bat when you step up there.
32 starts a year ago, 28 of them he walked 2 or less batters, so only 4 times did he walk more than 2 batters in a game. You better be hacking with Ed Whitson on the mound.
Ground ball, Tony Fernandez, and he underhands to Fred McGriff, and there's 1 down.
Benito Santiago, he with a golden arm, is behind the plate tonight for San Diego. And let's check the rest of the defense. Fred McGriff, he is a potential Gold Glover. He's played very well defensively for the Padres at first base. And the outfield, Tony Gwynn, 4 consecutive Gold Gloves, anchors the outfield and right.
And here is Juan Samuel, and there's a first pitch to him, ground ball. Fernandez, he guns it across and gets Samuel by a step. Let's go to John Saunders.
To talk boxing this time, we want to remind you the Battle of the Ages just about 10 minutes away. They'll step into the ring. We will have round-by-round updates, and following the fight, we'll get you out to Atlantic City and Charlie Steiner and crew with the coverage. Right now, let's get back to baseball with Steve and Dave.
Thank you, John. We have a 0-0 ball game here in San Diego, California, and some boos for Darryl Strawberry. They do bring a lot of blue from just up north, about 100 miles, and the Dodgers so excited to have this guy. But Strawberry, the longest he has ever gone to start a season without a home run, 38 at bats. Right now he's at 31. Ooh. Well, he got a hold of some hard ones yesterday and took them to the wall, but couldn't get it by it.
One thing Whitson does, when he gets a batter 0-2, he doesn't waste a pitch. He tries to make a perfect pitch. He just says, hey, one less pitch to throw in the game.
And there's a line shot in the alley right field. Abner over to cut it off, but Strawberry, it gets by Abner, will roll to the wall, and Strawberry's off for third base, and he'll be there easily. Well, it looked like Sean was trying to catch Strawberry at second base.
Well, we mentioned Whitson doesn't waste pitches, and trust me, the Dodgers scouting report says be ready on 0-2, and Whitson gets this one right in the middle of the plate, and Darryl swung the bat well yesterday against the Padres, starting to come out of it. Abner tries to slide and knock it down, but it goes right under his arm, and we're waiting for the scoring. At this point, they've called it a triple, and we'll wait and see if they flash an error, but they have not to this point.
So Abner, who is already there defensively for San Diego, there's always been a question mark about his hitting when the New York Mets made him their #1 draft choice in 1984. But he's shown great defensive ability here in San Diego. It's the bat that's still trying to come around. Here's Eddie Murray. And he mashes one to deep right field. Back goes Tony Gwynn, reaching up. It hits the top of the wall and goes over.
Tony was trying to talk the umpire at first base, Terry Tate, into calling a foul ball. Tony did not get a good read on that ball, and Eddie Murray hits his first homer of the year. And the Dodgers, who have only hit 3, strike early against Whitson.
And Murray, who just made his first start in almost a week and a half yesterday, comes up with a first pitch drive down the line about 330 feet and has the round tripper.
Tony kind of misplays it just a hair, and Tony actually pushes it over the wall. Tony on the rebound pushed the ball over the wall. He just didn't get a great read on it. You see the ball hit the top of the fence there, and it comes back and hits Tony's glove, and then he pushes it back over the fence. That is a home run.
Here's Cal Daniels. And Daniels has always had trouble with Ed Whitson. 2-0 ball game. Los Angeles has the lead on a 2-run home run by Eddie Murray. Foul back. Well, we were talking about the power shortage. That's the 3rd home run by Los Angeles this year. The first 2 by Juan Samuel, and finally somebody else gets one.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't really a home run until Tony Gwynn pushed it over. And you know, a Gold Glover like Tony is smarting from that one.
Ground ball, Fernandez. He is responsible for all 3 outs in the inning, but Ed Whitson, with 2 outs, gives up a triple to Strawberry and a home run to Murray, and it's 2-0 Dodgers. Murray, with his first home run of the year, gives Los Angeles a 2-0 lead on the San Diego Padres. And here's a look at the starting lineup for San Diego tonight. They'll lead things off with Biff Roberts, and he'll be at second base. Hitting second is Tony Fernandez from the Toronto Blue Jays. Then it's Tony Gwynn. Hitting fourth is Fred McGriff. He'll be followed by Benito Santiago, who took yesterday off. Then it's Gerald Clark, hit a 400-foot home run yesterday. Gary Templeton is the shortstop. Sean Abner bats 8th, and Ed Whitson bats 9th, the pitcher.
They'll be facing right-hander Mike Morgan. Tough luck first start. You see no earned runs, but he's got an 0-1 hung beside his name. Morgan, a ground ball pitcher. That may not be too good with the way the Dodger defense has played. They've made 13 errors in 9 games.
Well, he throws strikes, and Morgan throws strike 1 to Biff Roberts. On the season, .341 the average. The 15 hits ties his teammate Tony Fernandez for the high in the National League this year.
Whitson had the same kind of a start in Los Angeles last Sunday. He gave up a 2-run homer to Juan Samuel in the first, then retired 17 men in a row.
Ground ball, right side. Samuel takes it easily and throws out Roberts.
Take a look at the Dodgers defensively. The veteran Mike Scioscia, who tonight passes Steve Yeager, number 3 on the all-time Dodgers games caught list. The infield anchored by Eddie Murray. We hear so much about his bat. He's a very solid first baseman, the best defensive player in their infield. And the Dodger outfield, Brett Butler, he's going to have to cover a lot of territory. Daniels and Strawberry not noted for their defense.
And with 1 out and scored 2-0 Los Angeles, Tony Fernandez steps in, and Morgan throws a breaking ball that misses inside. Fernandez yesterday had 3 hits, and 2 of them were extra base hits, 1 a triple, his first of the year. He led the major leagues with 17 a year ago. And he fights this one off, and he would have had 2 triples had not the first gone for a ground rule bases loaded double, and at that time it tied the game, and Greg Riddick was thinking, my goodness, it's tied now. We could have been up 4-3. They wound up scoring 7 in the inning and going on to beat Los Angeles 10-5.
Greg was not giving a sign there. He was scratching his nose. Sometimes we just have to make that clear, folks. He was sitting with Mike Rourke, his pitching coach. Mike in his first year as a pitching coach here in San Diego.
If you go to an auction or you're a baseball manager, you better not move your arms, or you're either buying something or selling something. Here's the 1-2 pitch. And Fernandez hits a fly ball to left field. Cal Daniels, 2 outs. And here comes Tony Gwynn in the top of the first inning. Gwynn, who Dave said has won 4 Gold Gloves. But watch here as he reaches up. The ball at the top of the wall. Looks like it's coming back. And then Gwynn hits it with his glove and knocks it over. And Eddie Murray has his first home run this year. And Tony says, no, it must have been foul. It couldn't have been me.
Tony said, well, Tony was right. It ended up foul. But unfortunately, Tony, it hit fair, and then you shoved it over the fence.
Well, he's got the season at 342, and I thought it was rather funny reading a quote from Tony the other day where he said, I have to make amends for that miserable 309 average I had last year.
Don't talk to me about 309 averages.
Ground ball, Juan Samuel. Mike Morgan has an easy first inning. 1-2-3, Roberts, Fernandez, and Gwynn, and we head to the second with Los Angeles up 2-0. Dodgers have a 2-0 lead on San Diego, and Oral Hershiser had a pitch in a simulated game earlier today, threw 44 pitches, and before the contest I talked with him about how he threw.
Well, I think all the pitches have returned. The post-surgery feeling is one that's good. Everything is sinking. Everything is curving. The changeup is changing. I think the biggest thing that I'm working on right now is the consistency. I see the action on the pitches is there, but I've got to build the consistency in the pitches.
Dodgers coming into the season thought they were going to be pitching happy. Actually, the starting pitching has not been good for LA. 4.75 ERA. But again, don't make too much of early numbers, folks. Give you a lot of instances of teams that started off not too hot, and conversely, teams that started off very well. So it's 9 games in for the Dodgers, 10 for the Padres.
And here is Ed Whitson, and he will work with Lenny Harris to start the second inning, then to face Mike Scioscia and Alfredo Griffin. And their rotation is not that bad at all. I mean, Ramon Martinez, he was blistered by San Francisco the other night. Tim Belcher, Mike Morgan, Kevin Gross, Bob Ojeda, a lot of guys. You know, it seems like anymore 4 or 5 starters are not that strong. I mean, what team, with the exception of maybe the Dodgers in the National League West, has a great 4-5?
I don't even know if you can classify the Dodgers as that right now. Kevin Gross has really struggled in the early going.
But if they get Hershiser back, and a quality Hershiser like he was in the late 80s, well, they are going to be a tough team to deal with in 1991. Whitson with a 2-1 pitch to Lenny Harris. In the air. Center field. Sean Abner. 1 out. Let's go to John Saunders.
Strange play earlier in the Phils-Cards game. With the bases loaded, Todd Zeile comes up with the base hit. That brings in 2 runs. Smith and Guerrero come in. But then watch Dickie Thon try to get Felix Jose at third, throws the ball away. Jose comes in to clear the bases, and they lead the game 3-1. Back to Steve and Dave.
And John, we have a 2-0 ball game here by way of an Eddie Murray home run. And here comes the very hot Mike Scioscia. He has 6 hits in his last 11 at bats. And Socha has been very strong. 408 for the season. Was 3 for 3 on Wednesday. Had a base hit yesterday and goes the opposite field here, but right at Gerald Clark, where he makes the play. And that young man in left field is going to be a story this year because he has a great bat, but his defensive abilities may be more suited to first base.
Been working very hard on the defensive side, but he has been on fire with a bat. He did have an 0 for 16, but he broke out yesterday with a big 3-run homer. He is one of 5 Padres in the lineup hitting well over 300. And you saw Mike Socha. He's the only Dodger hitting over 300, and he's hitting 400.
Well, here is Alfredo Griffin. 3 base hits yesterday. And he hits it hard to right field. Tony Gwynn will go back near the warning track. Looking up, he's there to make the catch. So Griffin gets it a ride, but about 8 feet too short. It's 2-0 LA.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with a clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. By the makers of Post-it brand notes. And by Truck Guard from Shell. Think any oil will take care of your truck? Think again.
Los Angeles with a 2-0 lead, and there is slimmed down and very trim Tommy Lasorda. Earlier today, he swam 51 laps in the pool over at the Marriott Mission Valley. Talked to him earlier. It seemed like it took about 45 minutes, and he was working hard. He had one of his assistant coaches, they might have been Joey Amalfitano, keeping track of the laps. Here's Fred McGriff. Has 1 home run as a San Diego Padre.
Hey, when you coach for Tommy Lasorda, you got to do more than just coach. I mean, you got to go out to all his favorite restaurants that he plugs all over the country. And there are some benefits to coaching Tommy Lasorda's staff. You get a lot of free meals.
He has done a quality job through the years, and replacing Walter Alston 14-15 years ago. Fred McGriff with 105 RBIs the last 105 home runs the last 3 years. That ties Darryl Strawberry for the most in the major leagues the last 3 years. Well, our umpires for tonight's ballgame: Steve Ripley behind home plate. He's from Seminole, Florida. Terry Tate is at first base. Jerry Crawford at second base, and Ed Rapawan is at third. And Tata was the man who was the center of a mild controversy yesterday with pitcher Kevin Gross.
Kevin Gross likes to kind of dig his fingernails into the seams when he doesn't like it. And he said most of the umpires let him do it, but Tata stopped him. Gross got upset, and then he ended up blowing the gasket in the 4th inning.
McGriff with a base hit to center field. Let's go to John Saunders.
And the Astros and the Giants. Jimmy Jones with Willie McGee aboard. Will Clark at the plate. And Will takes this one deep to the opposite field. The 2-run home run puts the Giants on top. We want to remind you, boxing will start soon, and we'll have the fight coverage. Let's take it back to Stephen Day.
And just 1 week ago, Jimmy Jones beat the San Francisco Giants. Houston took that series 2-3. So Will Clark, his 2nd home run of the year, and the Giants trying to win just their 2nd game at home this year. Here's Benito Santiago. Fastball, rip foul.
Steve, you mentioned the Dodgers, Tommy Lasorda succeeding Walter Alston. In the last 38 years, the Dodgers have had 2 managers. While George Steinbrenner was in New York, there were 18. Billy Martin 5 times, but there were 18 changes. Dodgers like to talk about stability in their organization.
Well, you know, you talk about the moves of a George Steinbrenner. Do you think the man who is off first base right now with that base hit may have been the worst decision he made? Here's a ground ball. They've got a chance for 2. They get 1 over to first. Double play. 2 down.
Samuel almost didn't get the wickets down on this one. He had the glove up high, and that ball nearly got through his legs. Again, the Dodgers have kicked 13 in 9 games, and you see just kind of snow coning that one. Not too smooth for Samuel, but once Alfredo Griffin gets his hands on it, 4-6-3, and exit stage right for Benita.
He's talking about the trade as we take a look at Gerald Clark, who had a home run yesterday, a monster line shot, some 400 feet. And he takes one high, but that deal with McGriff, the pitcher you're seeing, Mike Morgan, was part of that deal. Acquired from the Yankees, Morgan, Dave Collins, and Fred McGriff for Dale Murray and Tom Dodd.
Well, that wasn't one of the better deals. You think about guys like Willie McGee that signed with the Yankees. Doug Drabeck was with the Yankees, traded away. You can pretty much make a list. Steinbrenner wanted to win right now, didn't want to wait for his young players to develop. That was his philosophy. It certainly worked in the late 70s, but later on it seemed to catch up with the Yankees.
Now McGriff with San Diego, powering home runs as he did in the American League with the Toronto Blue Jays. And Morgan, a starting pitcher, watching tonight with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He has the count 1-2 to Gerald Clark. Misses the outside corner.
Did a game Wednesday night. John Smiley pitched a one-hitter. It went 206. And with these two guys, you can have another 2-hour game because Ed Whitson was the fastest, second fastest in the majors last year, and Morgan works quickly as well.
And Clark with a drive in the alley, left center. But Brett Butler runs it down. So a double play, and then Clark's line drive taken down by Butler, and Dodgers still holding on to a 2-0 lead. Eddie Murray's 2-run home run, the difference in this ball game. We're head to the third inning of play, and it will be Mike Morgan, Brett Butler, and Juan Samuel. Greg Riddock, San Diego manager, took over the job last year and started out 1-11.
Said he was embarrassed, humiliated, and scared, but things turned around. He had a winter to regroup, and the Padres have started out very well in 1991.
It seems like there is a fresh enthusiasm on this club, and last year there was so much tension created with the Tony Gwynn, Jack Clark, Mike Pagliarulo situation in the clubhouse, criticism of Gwynn being too much an individual, and Fernandez throwing out Mike Morgan here to start the third.
Well, there was another thing. The Padres were a very, very poor team fundamentally. Fred Lynn played on this club last year. He said, this is the worst fundamental club I've ever played on, and he played on the 1988 Baltimore Orioles that lost 108 games, and the 1989 Detroit Tigers that lost 105. One thing Riddock did, the players didn't like it in spring training, but he met with them as infielders and outfielders, and each day they went over little things and they talked situational baseball, and they've played much better fundamental baseball here in the first 10 games.
Well, we head back to the top of the order for Los Angeles. Brett Butler grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. Yeah, during that stretch last year when they went 1-11, Riddick was going, what did I get myself into? He received a really nice letter from an old friend, Sparky Anderson, who he worked with when his days were with the Cincinnati Reds, and Sparky was there. And in it, Anderson said, you are not special. You can't make it happen. You can only help the players' attitudes. If you can change their attitudes, then you'll change their style of play. And Riddock said, success helps change people's attitudes.
Well,
ball due strikes to Brett Butler.
One thing that Greg does, kind of the new breed of managers, psychologists mostly, guys like Trebelhorn and Tom Kelly over in Minnesota. You're finding more and more younger managers coming in that seem to be able to relate better to the younger type players they're dealing with.
Foul off.
Of course, it takes all kinds. I mean, Tom Lasorda certainly no young spring chicken, nor is Roger Craig, but both of them are getting the job done too. But a lot of organizations are looking for young guys that really are into positive reaffirmation, just patting on the back, patting on the back. It seems to work in this day and age. These guys get $3 million, but they still need pats on the back.
1-2. Breaking ball, hit on the ground. McGriff makes the play to Whitson, and down goes Butler. Well, Riddock was raving about this man's defense.
He was absolutely magnificent in the series the Padres swept up in Los Angeles, saved 3 or 4 runs. I think he's got a pretty good shot at maybe getting the Gold Glove in this league. Andres Galarraga of Montreal has been the winner the last couple of years, but McGriff very smooth, covers a lot of ground. You see the defensive additions to the Padres, and it figures that those 2 spots are going to be a quantum leap better than they were a year ago. Pitchers have been raving about the job Tony Fernandez does.
You know, Tony makes it look so easy, and that nice easy throw always just gets him by a step. There's a breaking ball by Whitson, and the count's 2 balls and no strikes. Ed Whitson has had a kind of a flip-flop inning. Had 3 ground ball outs in the first, 3 fly ball outs in the second, and now 2 ground ball outs to start the third. And he has the count 2 balls and 1 strike to Juan Samuel.
Padre pitchers led the National League in gopher balls in 1989 and 90. Juan Samuel hit 13 homers last year, 4 of them against the Padres. He's hit 2 this year, both against the Padres. So Samuel likes the Padre pitching.
And there's a line drive back up the middle that almost takes apart Ed Whitson. So a 2-out base hit by Samuel, and here comes Darryl Strawberry, who has just been getting things going lately.
Yeah, the last 2 days, all of a sudden, the straw man has started to tune up the dial at the plate. He's looking very, very comfortable right now, and Whitson's going to have to be careful with him.
Well, he said yesterday, felt it in batting practice before the game. I really am feeling better at the plate. Last year, he averaged 1 home run every 15 at-bats. And now he calls time.
Let's see if Samuel could be running. I think he'll probably give Strawberry 2 strikes. Samuel, one of the only player, one of 5 players who's stolen 30 or more bases the last 7 years.
And there's a drive to deep right field. Tony Gwynn has it measured and makes the catch. Off the end of the bat, and just not enough. And Strawberry goes back with the Dodgers still up 2-0.
As the series continues.
Jack Murphy Stadium holds 59,022, the all-time high 54,732. 1986 opener against Atlanta. And right now, after winning the first 4 games from Los Angeles, the Padres are trailing 2-0, but they trailed 3-0 yesterday and came back for a 10-5 win over Los Angeles. Big 7-run inning, and Gary Templeton will lead things off. Breaking ball misses inside from Mike Morgan. 1-0. Templeton this year, the average only at 111, 2 for 18. As a matter of fact, the 2 guys sharing that third base spot, Presley and Templeton, a combined 4 for 40. Gary, at one time, one of the great shortstops in the National League, both with the Cardinals, now with the Padres, and that one's in there. 2 balls and 1 strike. One of only 2 players to get 100 base hits from each side of the plate in 1 year. Willie Wilson the other. Templeton did it in '79. Willie Wilson in 1980, and he comes through with a base hit here.
Morgan allowed the leadoff man to get on last inning, but got the double play to bail him out. We always quote the stat, the leadoff man gets on, scores 45% of the time. So that's one thing Ed Whitson has been terrific about the last 3 or 4 years, is getting the first man in the inning, and it just saves so many problems when you can do that.
Well, he will follow Sean Abner. And this young man being given center field this year because Joe Carter was traded to Toronto to get Fernandez and McGriff. He goes after the first offering and behind strike 1.
#1 draft choice in the nation by the New York Mets in 1984 as a 17-year-old player out of high school. Long thought to have the tools, and the Padres finally said, Sean, we've had you on the roster for 3 years, spot playing. We're going to find out if you can do it or not. This is it, pal. You go out there and show us you can play. And he's getting every opportunity to win the job out there.
Scioscia blocks the plate nicely. And you know, with baseball cards being so popular nowadays, when he was the first player taken, I mean, everybody went out there and bought all these cards, and he said he was so depressed at a card show he went to earlier this year, and he said, this guy comes up with about 1,000 of my rookie cards, and he walks up and he doesn't say anything, but he shows me his cards and gives me a look like they ain't worth nothing. Look what I wasted my money on. He didn't even sign them. And he said, and it was a 3-year-old girl. Here's the 1-1. He's only 24 years old. They got one, and they've got Abner. So back-to-back innings where the leadoff base hit comes on, and the man follows with a ground ball double play.
Well, Samuel with a little grin on his face. This will not make the highlight film as far as grace in turning the double play. Let's see what kind of a feed Lenny Harris gives him. A little bit to the inside. Samuel does a nice job of getting rid of it. So Lenny Harris did not give Samuel the perfect feed and caused Juan to become a little bit of a contortionist at second.
Here's Ed Whitson, and there's a ground ball to Fernandez. Oh, he makes it look easy. And we will head to the 4th inning here in San Diego. 2-0 Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Go. Los Angeles with a 2-0 lead, and the man that made it 2-0 is stepping up to the plate. Eddie Murray, his first home run of the year, and it should have been a double if not for Tony Gwynn's defense. A 4-time Gold Glove winner. As the ball was coming back off the wall, he hit it with his glove and it bounced over. It was a high arching drive down the right field line.
Slider coming in. Tony going after it. Right there, he kind of just misread it a little bit. Now he tries to get back to the fence at the last second. Hits the top of the fence. It is a fair ball, and he knocks it over in foul territory, but it's still a fair ball.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Eddie Murray. He now has 4 home runs against Ed Whitson in his career, hitting over .420 against the Padres starter. Another breaking ball, and there's a base hit to right field. Well, this Sunday, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball travels to Montreal as Vince Coleman and the Mets take on Delino DeShields and the Montreal Expos. That's 8 o'clock Eastern time. Join John Miller and Joe Morgan for the call Sunday on ESPN.
That was Whitson's palm ball that Murray hit. It was in a good location. The palm ball is what Ed Whitson says has really transformed him into a complete pitcher. Kind of accidental how he learned how to throw that. I'll tell you about it in a second.
Cal Daniels fouls it off, strike 1.
1984. Ed Whitson's in Philadelphia. He's going to pitch the next day. He has a twist-off cap on a soda pop. He goes to do it and slices his finger, his third finger. He could not throw a slider the next day, so he remembered a palm ball that he'd thrown in the minor leagues. He's been working on it since. It's really made him a complete pitcher.
And voila, the changeup.
Last 4 years, Ed Whitson, the first pitcher in the history of the major leagues to lower his ERA 4 consecutive years, having at least 30 starts or more. He has really become a pitcher.
Well, he has really just chewed up Cal Daniels. Daniels' first time up, ground out, and he's now 4 for 35 against Ed Whitson in his career.
I asked him, I said, how do you pitch Daniels? He said, soft, soft, and softer. He says, Daniels a great fastball hitter.
Murray at first base. And there's this ground ball. McGriff goes to first for 1 on to second. They got a tag, and there's the double play. Well, we've already seen 3 double plays in this game. And look at Tony Fernandez.
Eddie Murray saying, hey, you never tagged me. And Tony says, I know it, but you were so big coming down there, I didn't really want to stick my nose in. And Murray with a grin on his face coming off. Once again, the changeup. McGriff steps on the bag, cuts inside. Now watch, Tony's waiting. Yeah, you're right. You were safe, but you're not going to get the call, Eddie. Eddie gave him the old, here's the foot and take it away.
Let's now go to John Saunders for our first round update on the fight.
Round 1 is now over. The ESPN unofficial scoring scores at 10-9 in favor of Holyfield. Not much action in the round. A couple of quick punches by Holyfield. We'll keep you updated. Let's get you back right now to your baseball game.
Thank you, John. And we are eating giant hot dogs here at Jack Murphy Stadium in honor of our hero, George Foreman.
This guy has not been a real happy guy this year. He hit .304 last year, and the Dodgers said, well, Jeff Hamilton's got the job. But Hamilton not hitting, so Lenny getting a shot tonight. But Harris and Mike Sharperson did a terrific job last year filling in when Hamilton had the shoulder surgery. Lenny says, hey, what does it take to get in the lineup every day?
A swing and a miss. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Career year last year, .304, 2 home runs, 29 RBIs, and 15 stolen bases. And when he was the leadoff man, he was outstanding. And those were his numbers when he started at third base. And here's a ground ball. Fernandez. Nice play. Well, Tony, part of a double play, and then throws the final out. We're through 3.5. It's 2-0 LA.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Honda Lawnmowers. Honda, nothing's easier. And by the makers of Rid-X Septic System Treatment. Regular maintenance, including Rid-X, helps prevent backups.
Steve Physiak, Dave Campbell at San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium. 2-0 Los Angeles. A 2-run home run by Eddie Murphy. That's the difference. And here comes Viv Roberts. Did I say Eddie Murphy?
Well, he lives in L.A. too.
He wishes he was so talented. That's right. Murray's the Clippers fan and Murphy's the Lakers fan.
Okay.
Here's Viv Roberts, grounded out his first time up. Well, I had Fernandez instead of Griffin. Let's go to John Saunders.
Once again, this is unofficial, but we give round number 2 to the former champ, George Foreman, who scored with heavy combinations. Back to the game.
And Viv Roberts with a ground ball. Alfredo Griffin guns him down.
Well, Mike Morgan doing his thing. We tell you he is a ground ball pitcher, and if his team can catch it, he's going to be successful. Last time out, his team did not catch it. He had an ERA of 0, but took a loss.
Fernandez
Gets the ball down on Biff, tries to go the other way, and Alfredo takes care of it. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th.
For Tony Fernandez.
Only 2 balls hit in the air so far by the Padres, first 10 batters.
Breaking ball. Catches the inside corner as Fernandez went around, and it's no balls and 1 strike. You know, Mike Morgan was born to be a Dodger. He was born October 8, 1959, the day the Dodgers beat the White Sox for their first World Series title in Los Angeles. So sometime in his career, he had to be a Dodger Blue.
Larry Sherry, 2 wins, 2 saves that year. Kind of an unheralded guy coming out of the bullpen. He was the Dodger hero. White Sox won the first game 11-0.
Breaking ball misses inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, he's really working the inside to Tony Fernandez. Breaking ball again, grounded to Murray. And there's 2 outs. Well, this Sunday at noon Eastern Time, 6.5 hours of live coverage. Host Chris Berman with Joe Theismann. The entire story. What great college stars and where they go. 2 outs for Tony Gwynn.
Dallas traded with New England, did they not? To get the rights for the first round.
Rocket Ishmael.
I would guess.
It's got to be the Rocket Man. Imagine Troy Aikman throwing to Rocket. They're going to be good this year. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Curveball in there. Boy, he is right on. 1 ball, 1 strike. I don't know if he threw a fastball to Fernandez.
All sliders.
Tony. Griffin knocks it down, skips under his glove. And he just didn't get down enough. Earlier this week, he had 2 errors in the same inning against San Francisco, and that's an error on Griffin.
Well, on January 8th of this year, Alfredo Griffin had back surgery, and it's never going to be good for Alfredo. He's going to have back problems the rest of his life, and he's really affected on balls. He has to go to his left and try to bend over on it. Shows right there. So Alfredo gets tagged with the error. But you have to have a little empathy for the fact that the guy had surgery, and the doctors basically said, hey, you've got a degenerative problem. It's not going to go away.
He had 26 errors last year. That's number 5 in 91. And here's Fred McGriff.
Dodgers, of course, so high on young Jose Offerman, who had the big year at Albuquerque last year, but they just don't feel he's ready defensively. He can't handle the routine play, and that's something that Alfredo Griffin can do. And if you're playing shortstop, you better be able to handle the routine plays.
So Gwynn on first base with 2 outs now. Tying run at the plate. Griffin, who pounded 35 home runs with 88 RBIs. Dodger infield, 11 errors. Or it said 14. Dodger infield, 11 errors. Let's go to John Saunders for an update on the fight.
Round number 3 looked like it was going to be even, but then a tremendous flurry by Holyfield to end the round. He takes it 10-9.
2-0 ball game here. Los Angeles with the lead. And a 1-2 count on Fred McGriff. Mike Morgan has used a lot of breaking pitches. He has a fastball, a change, a slider, and early in his career had no confidence in throwing those breaking balls, but here lately he's come around and started for Los Angeles the last 2 years. Tony Gwynn at first base, 2 outs.
Morgan tied with Bruce Hurst last year for the most shutouts in the National League with 4. Also had 6 complete games. So when he's on, he's usually very on.
Foul off. Stays at a ball and 2 strikes.
Fred, one of the few Padres off to a bit of a slow start this year. Started to mention he's led the majors in home runs the last 3 years and slugging percentage the last 4. Sometimes when you play in Toronto, you don't get the ink if you play in New York or Los Angeles or Chicago, for that fact.
You know, you're talking about their lineup numbers, he being the coldest of them all. McGriff hitting right about 260. We're calling it 278, excuse me, after he had his first base hit in the second. And he hits it hard. Left field. That's a base hit. Gwynn holds at second base. So this is the biggest San Diego threat in this ball game, and all 7 runs scored yesterday in the 1 inning when 2 were out.
Well, a lot of people talk about 2-out RBIs, but if you look at Major League statistics, 46.5% of all runs come with 2 outs. Sometimes I see stats that so-and-so drove in 45% of his men from scoring position with 2 outs. Hey, the Major League average is 46%. But the Padres, what they have done in the early going when they're 7-3, when the other team has made mistakes, they have really taken advantage of it. And they're opened the gates here. See what Santiago does against Morgan.
McGriff at first base. Gwynn at second. 2-0. Los Angeles leads. And Santiago goes after the first pitch and fouls it off. I mean, their entire infield is just going crazy. Look at the hit leaders. Roberts, Fernandez tied for the lead. Then you got Benito Santiago in the number 4 spot. Biggio and Socha, they've got it going as well, but their lineup to start the night: 341, 341, 342, 278, 359, 333, and a 346 in there as well. 2 on, 2 out. Breaking ball stays high. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, it's a combination of 2 things. One, the Padre hitters are hot. Number 2, they haven't had an off day, so they're playing every day. In fact, they play 16 consecutive games against the Dodgers, San Francisco, and Cincinnati. Figure to be their 3 biggest rivals to start off 1991. They go to San Francisco after this weekend.
Two and 1.
That's one of the things Benito Santiago has been able to do in the last couple of years. He used to be totally a wild swinger, and pitchers with men in scoring position knew he was so anxious they would throw balls out of the strike zone and he would chase. He's become more disciplined. He's still not the most disciplined hitter in baseball, but he doesn't chase as badly as he used to, especially when he's seeing the ball like he is right now.
Right side. Murray should have the play and does. And the Padres squander 2 runners on with 2 out, and at the end of 4, 2-0 LA.
Middle of the ages, George Foreman is beginning to show his age. Round number 4 goes to Holyfield as well. Right now, this is unofficial. We show Holyfield up 3 rounds to 1. Let's go back to the baseball game.
And Tommy Lasorda pleading for his team to get more runs. They're up 2-0. Again, they were up 3-0 to San Diego and wound up losing 10-5. Padres offense, the most potent in the National League this year. They've been scoring runs. They're tied with San Francisco for the most runs scored this year with 49.
6 division titles in 14 years for Mr. Lasorda. He doesn't have to apologize for that one bit.
And here's Ed Whitson to face Mike Socha, Griffin, and Morgan. In there, it's no balls and 2 strikes.
See Mike Socha moving up in the all-time list. John Roseboro at 1199, the all-time Dodger record, including Brooklyn, 1218 by Roseboro. But that's just LA Dodgers. But pretty soon, Mike Scioscia will have caught more games than any other Dodger. He was the first Dodger catcher to start an All-Star game since Roy Campanella last year.
And I think overall, he's the best in the game. I mean, there are some great ones like Alomar and Santiago in this league, but Alomar in the American League, but Santiago here. But the overall picture, working pitchers, defense behind the plate, blocking the plate, and hitting. Scioscia is magnificent. Lasorda just raves about his catcher.
Well, Oral Hershiser said he's the one guy that they cannot afford to lose for any period of time.
Way inside. Ball and 2 strikes.
Whitson 2.60 ERA last year, number 3, best for the Padres since Randy Jones way back in 1975.
He's the only pitcher in the major leagues to have an ERA go down the last 5 years. I know you talked about goes from 6.23, 4.73, 3.77, 2.66, 2.60. I mean, he said, hey, after 14 years, I finally learned how to pitch. I was throwing the ball all those years, and when he got out of New York, it was like, oh my goodness.
He's got one of those. He's got one of those bodies. He doesn't put on weight. He keeps himself in good shape. He may be able to pitch for a long time if he doesn't sustain an arm problem, and he's had very few arm problems throughout his career.
Caught in that mix-up with Billy Martin, the New York Yankees, and they would not even pitch him at Yankee Stadium. They would only throw him on the road. Here's a 1-2, and Scioscia with a fly ball to right field. Tony Gwynn near the warning track makes the catch. Let's go to John Saunders.
Unofficially, once again, ESPN scores round number 5, 10-9 in favor of George Foreman, who had a strong flurry at the end of the round. He's tossing left jabs. We're in the 6th now.
I think most of the time, don't they give him water in between rounds? George is probably getting ice cream, making a comeback. Getting some strength.
Give me a banana split. Here's Alfredo Griffin. Hit the ball hard, but about 8 feet shy of his first home run of the year. He hit 1 all of last year. And there's a breaking ball hit in the air left field. Gerald Clark. 2 outs.
41st year in the Dodger organization for Tommy Lasagna, or Lasorda, as we commonly know him. He's quite a character, great ambassador for baseball. He's got those lines down too, and if you listen to him night after night, you'll hear a few of them repeated.
He never won a game in his major league career.
I never struck anybody out, which he really did. He was 0-4 lifetime in the major leagues.
26 games. Hey, there's a base hit for Mike Morgan. What's his average career? 103?
He came in at 103 with a strong 3 RBIs, but hey, the old slugger, you throw one in the wheelhouse and blind pig finds an acorn now and then.
And that takes us back to the top of the order, and Brett Butler just got out of Candlestick Park earlier this week. Played for the San Francisco Giants last year and for a few years and was a star there, and they loved him. But he went to the Dodgers.
Yeah,
the Giants don't like L.A. and they don't like the Dodgers. And when he came out,
well, Brett said he was a little surprised by the reception he got there. Not me.
But Lasorda was first introduced, as you take a look at Brett Butler's career against Ed Whitson, 18 for 47. And when Brett came out, they started booing, and he said, well, I think I'll add to it. I'll go out there and hug Tommy. And then the boos really sounded. Well, Butler grounds out here. It's a 2-0 ball game, and Ed Whitson is down.
Dead even, according to ESPN scoring, at 3 rounds apiece. Foreman takes the 6th and has come out strong in round number 7. We'll update when it ends. Right now, back to the ball game.
Thank you, John. Where Los Angeles has a 2-0 lead on Eddie Murray's home run. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Gerald Clark will lead things off. He'll be followed by Gary Templeton and then Sean Abner. Clark, first time up, line hard, but Brett Butler was able to run it down, and he has always hit Mike Morgan well. Clark 3 for 6 now in his career with a home run. Matter of fact, against the Dodgers lately, he has been awesome. 4 home runs against the Dodgers in their last 9 meetings. And Clark drives it to center field again, but the deepest part, and Butler there makes the catch. 1 out. Well, this Sunday, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball travels to Montreal. Vince Coleman, the speedsters go. Coleman against Delino DeShields, John Miller and Joe Morgan. Sunday night, ESPN, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Here's Gary Templeton. Singled his first time up. Morgan's first pitch misses. There was a time last year when Gary's San Diego Padres beat the San Francisco Giants 13-3. And he asked his wife when he got home, "Hey, honey, did you see the great game? We really blew them out." His wife said, "Hey, I've seen your act for 15 years. I wanted to go see Janet Jackson, so I went to see hers last night." He just smiled and said, "You're right." In there, 3 balls and 1 strike. We have seen no strikeouts in the game, also no walks by Whitson and Morgan. Templeton fouls it off. Count goes 3-2. Morgan struck out 106 last year. And he walks Gary Templeton to game's first base on balls. It comes with 1 out in the 5th.
Well, this has not been a real happy place for the Los Angeles Dodgers as of late. Campbell era. 28-8. No way. We killed them. That's got to be backwards, guys. No, that's probably very right. The Dodgers did wipe out the Padres from 70 to 73, but obviously 1978 to 1971, it has been the Temple of Doom, and that's what Steve Sachs called this place when he was playing with the Dodgers.
There's Sean Abner. Templeton going to second base, and he's in there. Let's go to John Saunders.
This is a fight you cannot believe. Round 7, we scored even. Foreman came out strong, then Holyfield took over, threw at one point 8 consecutive unanswered punches. We scored even. Back to you.
And there are old athletes everywhere heading to burger palaces all over America. We have a discussion on the floor as Gary Templeton was called safe, and now Sean Abner is arguing with the home plate umpire. Greg Riddock came out for an explanation. Let's see what happened.
Abner is going to be ruled to have interference here, laying across the plate in front of Scioscia, and Abner is going to be ruled out, and Templeton has to go back to first base. It does not have to be intentional. If he interferes with the catcher, the rule states that, hey, the catcher has the right, and if we watch, Abner falls right in front of Scioscia, and Abner is ruled out for interference.
It's been a frustrating night for Sean. He grounded into a 5-4-3 double play his first time up, and now out on interference.
Again, it does not have to be intentional. If the batter falls across and interferes with the catcher, the batter is out. The runner has to return.
Here's Ed Whitson, grounded out his first time up. Posing pitcher. Abner, it's a punching bag up that alley, and he may work it over a little bit. Whitson. Greg Riddock looking on. Hit his first home run in 14 major league years last year. And he tries to check his swing and back away, but it sends a ground ball over to Lenny Harris, and Whitson is out. It never even came out of the batter's box. Los Angeles 2-0 over San Diego. Sixth inning we go, and Juan Samuel starts it off with a bunt in the third base line that rolls foul.
A little too much English on that one by Samuel. Take another look at that play with Sean Abner at the plate. Now, at this point, he's fine, but when he falls across the plate right there, interferes with Scioscia's throw. It was not intentional on Sean's part, but he did it. Interfered with Scioscia's throw. He's out of there. Put out goes to Scioscia. It's a net bat for Abner. Scored interference.
And it remains 2-0 Los Angeles. Samuel, Strawberry, Murray here in the 6th, and Samuel rifles one deep to left field. Look out here. It's gone. A home run. Well, the Dodgers have hit 4 home runs this year, and 3 by that man.
To be quite honest with you, the Dodgers, when they offered arbitration to Samuel, thought he would play out his option and they would get a draft choice. And when Samuel says, no, I want to stay with the Dodgers, I think the Dodgers were kind of quietly miffed. But at this point in the season, I think they're pretty happy that Juan stayed around. He's off to a good start.
And here's Darryl Strawberry, and he takes a breaking ball from Ed Whitson for strike 1.
Got a high palm ball up to Samuel, and Sammy, who hits the ball to right center as well as left center, sometimes that's not the best guy to throw changeups to.
Strawberry takes strike 2. Well, he's hit the ball hard twice. He has doubled and also lined out.
Guy that waits on the ball like Samuel, you better get that changeup in a good spot, and he did not.
And Strawberry strikes out here. So he's 1 for 3 in the night. There's 1 out in the 6th with a 3-0 Los Angeles lead. And we have our first strikeout in the game.
Last year, Ed Whitson led the major leagues by only throwing a little over 3 pitches per batter. He's right on that feed tonight, but he gave up the tainted 2-run homer to Murray and then a solid one by Samuel, and he's down 3-zip in this one.
Murray now with 4 career home runs off Ed Whitson. Better than 400 average against Ed. Well, he adjusts so well to off-speed stuff. And they thought he was washed up before last year, and then he comes out and busts 26 home runs, hits 330. If not for Willie McGee leaving the league, he could have led the league in hitting. One ball, 1 strike. San Diego with 5 home runs last year, second most that he had. He had 6 against San Francisco. Clark in foul territory. Did he make the play? Yes, he did. He almost had to go underneath the stands to pick that one up, and Murray's gone. There's 2 outs.
Maybe unnoticed on this play, but great hustle by Jerry Crawford, the second base umpire. Third base umpire can't see this play. Gerald disappears from view. But Jerry Crawford, the second base umpire, ran all the way out to left field to get a good view of that. That's one of the little hidden spots here at San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium, and second base umpires have to be alert to it. And Crawford did it. Gerald Clark caught up with it.
And that takes us to Cal Daniels. He's 0 for 2, grounded out twice. Last time into a 3-6 double play, and he takes strike 1. Whitson just seems to throw perfect pitches to Cal every time. And let's check in with John Saunders.
Evander Holyfield hit George Foreman with everything he had. Towards the end of round 9, George still would not go down. We're headed to round 10.
And here in San Diego, top of the 6th, 3-0 ball game. Pitch to Cal Daniels. In there for strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Boy, Whitson has been going soft, soft, soft on Daniels. He's got Cal's mind messed up. This time he's burning the fastball on Cal, and Daniels can't pull the trigger.
There it is, another soft one. This time he's really tied up as he fouls it off his foot.
Talk about a guy that had a miserable year health-wise last year. Cal Daniels had a bad treadmill test. He had eye spots. He had a rib problem. They say he had a collapsed lung. Guy still stuck around to hit 20-plus home runs, including 3 grand slams, and this one right off the big toe. Bunyan City for Cal Daniels.
Well, they talk about guys getting Ryanitis. When Nolan Ryan's pitching and you're a right-hander in there, Cal Daniels is going to get Whitsonitis because he's now 4 for 36 in his career.
That's one of those things, you know, I mean, Whitson should be the type of guy that Daniels would hit. A right-hander throws a little bit out from the side. Left-handers generally love that. But Whitson has the ability to get that off-speed pitch over so much. Right now, Bill Bueller, the trainer of the Dodgers, out chatting with Cal. Daniels is going to stay in. Was sort of asking Steve Ripley about another good restaurant here in San Diego. He says, where can we go tonight, Steve? You know, I mean, I got my coaches. I want to take them out. There's one place got good linguine.
We'll have to join him after the ball game. Well, Daniels is ready. He's behind the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1 run already in the inning. Leadoff home run by Juan Samuel.
Let's see Whitson throw it down and in slider.
And there it was.
Why not? No mercy. Do not let him up. Daniels is swinging and lifting that front foot to get it out of the way.
Misses outside. Well, this is one of the clubs where Ed Whitson has had trouble with. His career record 12-16 against Los Angeles, earned run average over 4. Breaking ball misses. And he didn't like that at all. Ran the count full at 3-2 after jumping in front of Cal. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Let's see how Whitson adjusts here. He says when he's up with a couple of pitches, he can make his own adjustment.
Oh, struck him out on a great pitch inside and down. And down goes Cal Daniels. He limps away, but the Dodgers score 1 more and now lead 3-0.
Holyfield is beginning to take charge of this fight. He has taken 2 of the last 3 rounds. We give this last one a draw. He leads 5-3-2.
Thank you, John. Steve Fisiak and Dave Campbell at San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium. 2 home runs by Los Angeles, 1 by Eddie Murray, the other by Juan Samuel. And San Diego starts here with Bip Roberts' ground ball to Alfredo Griffin, and there's 1 down in the bottom of the 6th.
Bip's been playing pepper with Alfredo tonight. 3 ground balls to short. He's the catalyst. If he doesn't get on, the Padre offense gets stymied.
Here comes Tony Fernandez. Out on a fly ball to left, and unassisted ground ball to Fred McGriff. But Greg Riddock says this guy already could be the best shortstop in the National League, and that's saying a lot because Barry Larkin's over at Cincinnati. Well, he grounds out immediately, and there's 2 outs. And this coming Tuesday night, great matchup here on ESPN. Roger Clemens, who's already 3-0 this year, had that magnificent show yesterday with Brent Saberhagen and beat him 1-0. He goes against Joe Carter and the Blue Jays. It's the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, Tuesday night, 7:30, right here on ESPN. Here's Tony Gwynn. Reached on an error his last time up. Squares to bunt and gets Lenny Harris pulled down at 3rd just a bit. Lenny and Jeff Hamilton sharing 3rd this year. Morgan is the count to Tony Gwynn. No balls, 1 strike. In there, strike 2. Morgan, this is his 2nd start of the year tonight. Last game he pitched, he lost to Ed Whitson in L.A. 5-3. Went 6 innings, gave up 3 unearned runs, and that was the game that Stan Javier was over at first base and struggled. Misses the outside corner. Gwynn, the toughest hitter to strike out in the major leagues last year. 1 strikeout every 27 at bats. Situation is Morgan's way. And then there's a ground ball to Alfredo Griffin in time, and Morgan just looking brilliant in this contest. He has a 3-hit shutout heading to the 7th.
Fight has reached the final round, and in round number 11 we scored 10-8 in favor of Holyfield. 1 point was taken away from Foreman for a low blow. He was warned earlier in the match. Right now Holyfield in command in the final round.
Thank you, John. It's 3-0 Los Angeles, and Lenny Harris with the ground ball just under the glove of Gary Templeton. He's on at first base.
That'll be scored a hit. Templeton playing in to guard against the bunt. That ball was really scorched, and Gary just a hair late getting the glove down. Tough play.
We were talking about the starting pitching for Los Angeles. My goodness, they have been outstanding tonight, and it will settle down before the season is over.
Tempe's so used to playing shortstop, getting a chance to move the feet a little bit before the ball's on it. But third base, the hot corner, that one was on him in a lightning fashion.
Here's Mike Scioscia.
Look, hit and runs. Lasorda loves to hit and run with Mike Scioscia. 1 ball, no strikes. Scioscia hits almost a lock, folks. Not kidding me, Joe. I know it's on.
And Harris pulling away from first base. Griff holding him. Pitch fouled off. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Obviously, they were waiting for a 1-1 count. Scioscia, another tough guy to strike out, makes contact. Lasorda will hit and run with him more than any other hitter.
Here's a throw over. Harris had 15 stolen bases last year, and that's one area that he wanted to work on in the offseason. Felt he still does not read pitchers that well.
Tough to steal when you're sitting on the bench, though.
Well, he had a lot of at-bats last year, but this year is where they've given it to Hamilton. And there's the pitch out, and Greg Reddock thinking, well, the hit and run probably on. Whitson's got the great control. I mean, even you've seen Roger Craig before pitch out on this count here, 2-1.
I've seen
2-0.
I've seen Roger pitch out 2-0. Just a matter of time, folks.
Harris not going, and the pitch missing. 3 balls and 1 strike. Steve Physiak and Dave Campbell at San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium on an ESPN Friday night baseball doubleheader. 3-0 Los Angeles. Eddie Murray with a home run, a 2-run blast in the first inning, and a solo shot by Juan Samuel in the 6th. Mike Morgan has been very, very good. There's a ground ball. Second, they've got one. They've got them both.
Well, if you don't start the runners 3-1 with a contact hitter like Scioscia, there's got to be something wrong with Lenny Harris, because you start the runner, you stay out of the double play. Scioscia under no obligation to swing if it's ball 4. For some reason, the Dodgers did not elect to start the runner, and they pay for it 4-6-3. I think for a second Lasorda thought he was in the American League. They don't run much over in that league, with the exception of a few teams.
Here's Alfredo Griffin. Boy, that Fernandez is so smooth at short. And this San Diego ball club has had a pair of outstanding shortstops in their past, but they've given them both away, Ozzie Smith and Ozzie Guillen. But they want to keep Fernandez, and they really love his work.
Biff Roberts has done a nice job at second base. That was a question mark for the Padres. They knew Biff was going to play somewhere, second, third, or left field, and he's handled second base very nicely to this point.
And Dave, that's why I really thought it was a great trade for San Diego, because they had a second baseman in Roberts. I don't think he really has the great arm to play third base. Over at second, a little more comfortable, but they thought maybe Marty Barrett would play second and Roberts would be forced to third. And there's a ground ball. Fernandez scoops it up and tosses out Alfredo, and down go the Dodgers in the top of the 7th. It's a 3-0 ball game. Los Angeles leads.
A battle for the ages, a tremendous fight that goes the distance. 12 rounds. Evander Holyfield, the unanimous decision. He retains his undisputed heavyweight championship. We'll have more from Atlantic City in a moment. Right now, let's get back to baseball.
Can't wait to see the highlights of that fight. If John Saunders says it's a great fight, it's got to be. He probably has one eye on the fight, one eye on the baseball game, and he is in a perfect spot at our ESPN's studios. 3-0 ball game. Los Angeles has the lead on San Diego.
Well, I saw all the experts' picks today in one of the national newspapers, and not one of them said it was going to go 12 rounds, and I don't think anybody expected it.
Well, Fred McGriff rifles one into right field to start the 7th inning. McGriff certainly has been able to solve Morgan. He's 3 for 3. And the Padres now have 7 of their 8 players in the lineup hitting over 300 this year.
Padres have had their leadoff man on twice prior to this inning, and both times the next hitter wrapped into a double play. We've had 4 double plays in all.
And here is one of them. Back in the 2nd inning. 4-6-3 3. Santiago. McGriff at first base. Santiago fouls it off. Boy, Morgan has been very efficient in this game. He's only been averaging right around 11 pitches per inning.
Sometimes when you see the pitching matchup, you go on tendencies, and it figured to be a very quickly played game, pitchers throwing a lot of strikes, and sometimes that completely boomerangs. We had Dave Stewart and Eric Hansen last Sunday night on ESPN. We thought great pitching matchup. Turned out to be a 4-hour game, and it was a 7-6 final.
And he loops this one. Back goes Griffin, makes the play, and back to first base, Fred McGriff.
Morgan runs the fastball in on Santiago's hands. Benito a little anxious, didn't wait for a good pitch, and that at bat.
Morgan has only thrown 70 pitches. He's worked Gerald Clark well. Clark has hit him hard twice, but flied out both times to Brett Butler in center field. This guy has been on a tear and has eaten up Dodger pitching. And there's a line drive off the leg of Morgan. Only play first base, and it thrown by Eddie Murray. McGriff to third. They'll hold him there. And they have Gerald Clark caught up between first and second, and now they run him down.
Look who's standing at second base. I don't know if you can see him, but Brett Butler hustled all the way in. Gerald Clark took an airplane-type turn at first base, and Eddie Murray hustled after it, and the Dodgers avert a disaster. Morgan makes a good play to get his glove on it, and actually it wasn't a glove, it was a knee, and that's why the trainer's out. Lenny Harris, though, throws it errant to first base, but Gerald Clark is going to make a very wide turn. The ball caroms right back to Eddie Murray, and they've got Gerald Clark hung up. Clark knows it. He scoots back, but Juan Samuel gets over to make the play. No, that's Lenny Harris. The third baseman went all the way over after he made the bad throw, so that's good presence of mind. The great thing for the Dodgers, though, they had everybody hustling on the play. Daniels was coming in. Butler was in. That'll go as a hit, and the air to allow McGriff to get to third base.
So 2 outs now. Dodgers, of course, leading the major leagues with 15 errors. They came in with 13 in 9 games. This is their 10th, and already with 15. That would set some records.
How often do you see a third baseman make a put out at first after he's committed an error? That was good presence by Lenny Harris.
Here's Gary Templeton. 1 ball, no strikes. Fouls it back. 1 ball and 1 strike to Gary Templeton.
Almost had to put the kaleidoscope music on that one. Put a 10 over that circus. But Lenny Harris, good hustle by the Dodgers, and they averted disaster.
Just misses low. And Morgan, who's been a tough luck pitcher throughout his career, came in with the worst percentage of any active pitcher in the major league with more than 100 decisions, 36%. His record 53 and 94, and he has excellent stuff. But over the last 2 years, LA has barely given him 3 runs per game. 2 years ago, they scored only 2.53 runs per game, and he had an ERA of 2.53. And wound up with a record under 500, and he hates to talk about it.
That's why I didn't ask him. Padres trying to get back in this game. Bottom of the 7th. Thinking if they can put 1 up here at least. Have an outside shot.
Well, there's the 3-2 pitch. Grounds it foul. Let's go to John Saunders. 8th inning, 4-0 now. Los Angeles has the lead on a sacrifice fly by Darryl Strawberry. His 5th RBI this year. It scored Brett Butler, and it's now 4-0 Los Angeles, and the Dodgers have been working their bullpen. John Candelaria has jumped up along with Jay Howell. For the Padres, Pat Clemens is now throwing as the Padres will be down to the bottom of their order, and you know they're going to send a pinch hitter up for Ed Whitson, who has been brilliant tonight, but he's given up 4 runs. And 2 of 3 runs on a pair of home runs. 1 in the first, a 2-run shot by Eddie Murray, and the second a solo blast by Juan Samuel, who has 3 hits in this game. 4-0 LA. For the Dodgers. Dodgers that started in Brooklyn in 1890, and they were first called the Bridegrooms because 7 members of the team were married around the same time in 1888. But when Big Dan joined them in 1892, they were called the Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers for all of the fellows going off to work, and they had to dodge the trolley cars that would be flying by. And then later, what was it, 1907, Dave? They changed it to the Brooklyn Dodgers?
Yeah, they had a series of nicknames. So many you really couldn't even talk. I was looking today, I was doing some research on the old Dodger teams, though. They just don't have names like they used to. On that 1892 club, they had a guy named Oyster Burns, another guy named Cannonball Crane, Bone Zealey, and they had surfing in those days, too, because they had a guy named Dude Easterbrook. They don't make the names like they used to, you know?
Well, here is Mike Morgan working on a 5-hit shutout. Tonight's attendance 35,157. Sean Abner will lead things off. He'll be followed by the pitcher's spot. And Mike Aldretti has grabbed a bat, jumped up, and Sean Abner sends one foul.
I didn't want to leave you hanging with those names because they also had a guy named Hunky Hines, another guy named Fuller Jones, but my all-time favorite. Later on in the 1890s, they had a guy named Butts Wagner.
There's a ground ball, third base. Lenny Harris throws out Abner. Let's go to John Saunders.
We've talked boxing all night. Well, here's a slugger, Evan Mitchell of the Giants, who waits on the Jim Jones curveball, sends it out to left field, his 6th home run of the year. He's driven in 14 runs as well. That made it 5-0. Now 5-2. Back to Stephen Dale.
Los Angeles with a 4-0 lead. Pair of home runs by Murray and Samuel, and now a pinch hitter for Ed Whitson. That's Mike Aldretti. He was with the Montreal Expos last year, and he takes strike 1. 242 the numbers. And we were talking about brothers. Big Dan in 1892 leading the league and hitting at .335, 92 RBIs that year. Dave, who was the last Los Angeles Dodger to lead the National League in batting?
Tommy Davis.
Right, you are.
The year. 62, 63?
63.
63. Okay. Batting average, I don't know. 346. No, that's not right. Whatever.
Here's the 2-1 to Aldretti. This is 3-1 to count. Larry Anderson, who's been suffering from neck problems lately up in the bullpen, throwing along with Pat Clemens, and they say he's such a tough veteran that he's trying to throw through that pain because he knows the Padre bullpen has been beleaguered this year, and he wants to help them out as much as possible. And Aldretti goes to center field. Boy, they've had a lot of balls at Brett Butler, and he makes the play again. 2 outs.
Morgan certainly has sailed along. Only 1 inning with 2 men on base, and he got Benito Santiago to pop out. So it's been a cakewalk for Mike Morgan. Padres just have not been able to mount any offense at all.
Greg Riddock got a great game from Ed Whitson. 8 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, no walks and 2 strikeouts. And a foul ball off the leg of Bip Roberts. He's 0 for 3, 3 ground outs. One of the rare occasions where the Padre bats have not come alive. They had a series with Cincinnati where red pitching really started mowing them down, and they're getting better because I understand Jack Armstrong, fine pitching performance tonight to lead the Reds to a victory. Roberts going to center field, but again, Brett Butler, a lot of room here at Jack Murphy Stadium. And the Padres out 1-2-3 in the 8th. 4-0 Los Angeles leads.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Lennox. When it comes to quality and heating and cooling, must be a Lennox. By State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when.
More than 35,000 on hand watching the Dodgers beat up the San Diego Padres 4-0, and a new pitcher for San Diego is left-hander Pat Clemens, 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, 29 years old. Those are his numbers this year. Wasn't really expected to make the club, but Adley Hammaker is on the disabled list, and he'll try and come back maybe in a week and a half. And Cal Daniels will be the leadoff man for him. Clemens' average fastball outpitches a curve. If he can get that over, he can be tough on left-handers. That's where Cal Daniels is, and he has struggled in this game. Strike two.
Cal had some bad lifetime numbers against left-handed pitching. Going into last year, it was a 100-point disparity. But last year, he had a lot better against the southpaws. But that sweeping breaking ball gives him a lot of trouble.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Chops it just past Clemens. Vip Roberts will throw him out on a nice play. Well, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. 1 down, 4-0. Los Angeles has the lead on San Diego as the Dodgers try to beat the Padres for the first time this year, and stepping up is Mike Sharperson to pinch hit for Lenny Harris.
Well, part of the Dodger platoon against the left-hander. Sharperson gets the nod. Harris's work done for the night. Lenny had a hit to show for 3 trips.
Yeah, these guys replaced each other a lot last year. Last year, Sharperson pinch hit 16 times for Lenny Harris, and Lenny pinch hit 15 times for Sharperson. Clemens has the count, 1 ball, no strikes. Breaking ball inside corner, 1-1. The Padres' 7-3 start is their best since 1984. They opened with an 8-1 record and went on to win the National League pennant that year. But they have been off to some miserable beginnings ever since. 2-1.
Things got going so poorly last year when Greg Riddock took over to kind of capsulize what happened. We mentioned 1-11, first 11 games or first 12 games under Riddock. It was a great story. The Padres were in Pittsburgh and they were just getting killed, and one of the Latin American broadcasters, Eduardo Ortega, was doing a pregame show with Greg Riddock. And they were doing it right near the Padre bathroom in the clubhouse. And Eduardo says, "Mr. Riddock, how have things been going?" And just then, the toilet flushed. And Greg said, "I think that's pretty indicative of how it's been going."
2-2 pitch misses inside. The count is full to Mike Sharperson. He just said, "I could not wait for the season to get over." They started out 1-11, righted themselves, and after that, Riddock did a nice job down the stretch, and now he has a contract that I guess there is not official, but it is rumored to be where it says he will be able to finish this year. He has a 1-year contract. Let's check things out. They get off to a great start, and who knows what could happen. I mean, last year they were picked to win it. This year they're picked to finish 4th. Some places I even saw them finish 5th behind Atlanta.
Well, they'll wait at least till tomorrow to evaluate. That's the way it is in baseball.
Fly ball center field. Abner there. And 2 outs. Well, next Friday night at 10:30 we'll be at Dodger Stadium as Darryl Strawberry and company host Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell, and the San Francisco Giants. That's next Friday at 10:30 on ESPN.
Yeah, and we will not have a 1 hour and 55-minute game because Ramon Martinez will probably pitch that game, and Ramon does not work quite as quickly as Ed Whitson and Mike Morton.
Here's Mike Scioscia. It's 0 for 3. Outside corner, 1 ball and 1 strike. And we understand that George Foreman and Evander Holyfield are just about ready to come out for their interviews, so we'll be joining John Saunders, who will be going immediately to the fight location. Here's the 1-1 to Scioscia. Breaking ball hit on the ground but foul, and the count goes 1-2.
That had the familiar ring of a broken bat, and there goes Mike Scioscia off to get some new lumber.
Sounds like a piece of celery snapped in half.
Well, those things go about 22 bucks a whack now.
I was talking to Will Clark the other day, and he was saying the wood's just not as good as it used to be. Why is that?
That's not true. What's happened is that more and more players have gone to the thin handle bats.
He said he's at batting practice and it's peeling away. Scioscia in the air. Abner comes a running. He's there. And a 1-2-3 inning for Pat Clements, but San Diego needs a bunch of base runners in there half of the ninth.